Well, with us this morning to review the papers is Alison Stewart-Allen, Chief Executive of International Marketing Partners, and Paul McNamee, the UK editor of The Big Issue. Good to see you both again. And there's lots to talk about this morning, certainly politics dominating the front pages. Alison, you picked out this article in The Guardian on the appointment of Sue Gray, of course, that senior civil servant who carried out the investigation into Partygate last year, now appointed as Sir Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff.
Well, you could say it's an inspired choice because of her track record. She firstly, she's a woman, which is always a very good thing to balance your cabinet and your advisors. But she's got a fantastic track record, you could say, in her approach to investigations. And I think, while it's controversial, you could say that Mr. Starmer has taken a risk in appointing her and is hoping that pays off.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Paul, just a thought from you on this story, which is a really big talking point today in a lot of the newspapers and with a lot of our political guests. Sue Gray, by all accounts, almost everyone you speak to talks about how brilliant she is at her job and what a great civil servant she is. This is a brilliant appointment by Sir Keir Starmer to many. But then the Conservatives are using it to try and discredit that investigation she did last year. What's your take on it all?
They are, and I heard your interview earlier tackling this, and it is a motif that will keep coming at the moment. But I think that it's not necessarily going to damage Keir Starmer in the long run. It is a useful way to try and discredit any investigation into Boris Johnson, which suggests that he has no agency of his own, that he is not a grown man. He should be able to take responsibility for his actions. And if he's not, then he should never have been Prime Minister. That's a whole different debate. But in terms of Sue Gray, I think that she is a smart appointment. And I think that the public probably still don't trust Boris Johnson. And if she is seen as the person who was investigating with good faith, and let's not forget, a lot of senior Tories, when Sue Gray was doing the investigation, were crying from the rooftops how good and independent she was. I think if the public see that and they can see that Keir Starmer trusts her now, she is somebody to be trusted, and therefore so is he.
And of course, the timing of her appointment is clashing with the interim report that we got yesterday from the Privileges Committee, Alison, and that is certainly dominating the papers today as well. Double-page spread inside the Mirror today with a new photograph revealed by the committee of Boris Johnson with members of his team and bottles of alcohol on the table during lockdown. Tell us more about this.
Well, I think these images just remind the public of the fact that, while they were in lockdowns, they were denied being able to say goodbye to their family members dying in hospitals. You have the leader of a country having parties. And I think all this is doing is resurfacing people's feelings of anger, that they did not have those moments with families that they wished they'd had. They were not able to have their kids at school learning properly. Instead, they were homeschooling and trying to juggle homeschooling with the demands of full-time work. So I think this just serves to maybe, make people angry again. And actually, it's anchoring everybody in the past. When shouldn't we all be really focusing instead on, what good news is there? COVID, I guess, because of the vaccine, we ought to really be celebrating the fact that we're now able to go out. We don't have to wear masks. We aren't socially distancing anymore. So, I think it's really quite a shame that this is back in the public eye when really we ought to be looking at happier times rather than, reliving the frustration of those moments.
I should say Boris Johnson, of course, maintains that there is nothing to suggest in that report that he knew that there was rule breaking taking place, and of course he will have a chance to have his say before the committee in a few weeks' time. Let's move away from politics now, shall we, Paul? You pulled out this story in the Express, which is really interesting. We've just been talking about the lack of women headlining at Glastonbury this year, and now this talking about the lack of middle-aged women at work.
Yeah, this is really interesting. We know that there is a work problem, a productivity problem, and a lot of people leaving the workforce. And this is something that Annalise Dodds, the Shadow Equality Secretary, has drawn attention to. And that is 100,000 women aged between 50 and 64, some a little younger as well, I should say, have withdrawn from the labour market since COVID for a number of reasons, whether it is because they just decided they wanted a change in life, or they've got other responsibilities at home, or whatever it is, they have withdrawn. And it is a problem because we need experience. We need women who know what they're doing and have got lived experience in life, and lived experience in jobs.
Nodding vigorously in approval there, and so am I. Paul, thanks so much. Alison, we're going to have to leave it there, but we'll see you again next hour. Thanks so much. And more coming up on the rest of the day's news at the top of the hour as well. Stay with us.